Hello everyone. This is Tobi from the Phuket Meditation Center, and you're listening to the Dharana Meditation Podcast. Let's sit together, calm the busy mind, and explore topics concerning character development, meditative training, and deeper self-knowledge. So let's begin by sitting upright. Suspend the head from above. Let your body be relaxed at ease. You can think of your skeleton as being lifted by the crown and the flesh melting into the ground. Upright, relaxed, and still. Breathe in a way that feels nice, that you enjoy. Allow everything to be just as it is, your emotional state, your thoughts, your body, the surroundings. Just giving everything space to be. There's nothing to change, nothing to control or fix, nothing to get rid of. Just this moment as it is. And while you're breathing in, feel the entire body. As you're breathing out, notice how the body becomes a bit more soft, a bit more relaxed, all by itself. Internally, do exactly the same that you would do while falling asleep. Just releasing, letting go, softening. Of course, with the difference that you remain awake to what is going on, aware. Breathing in, feeling, and breathing out, softening, releasing. Let your body remain as still as you possibly can. Avoid all kinds of fidgeting around, moving, adjusting, and so on. Instead, release, soften on the inside. Keep letting go, keep softening. Letting go of following every single impulse that comes from your nervous system. Instead, cultivating release. While your body on the outside is very still, on the inside, a lot of movements happen. And those movements are triggered by softening, by letting go, melting, dissolving, evaporating of tension. And common places of tension are the brain, release right there. And the eyes, the jaw, the shoulders, the heart, the solar plexus, and the abdominal region, the belly. Whenever you notice that you get lost in your thoughts, in your mind, pulled away from this moment, simply return, come back into the body, uniting body and mind. Releasing through the stress, the suffering, the discomforts, the struggle that may be existing inside of your nerves. Bringing softness, warmth, kindness, and compassion into your body. As opposed to running away into distractions, abandoning yourself. The more tension you release on the inside, the more comfortable you become in your own skin. The more pleasant the body becomes. The reason why this body is often experienced as so unpleasant is because we're holding a lot of tension, a lot of stress, a lot of suffering, and we never really deal with it. We usually escape it by distracting ourselves with abstract things such as thoughts about the future, the past, or entertainments, and so on. Neglecting ourselves. So what we do right now is ultimately an expression of kindness, of compassion, of love, true self-love. Not running away, not avoiding, but being right here, helping to let go, to become soft, to be with what is true. let this wave of release begin at your crown and move down through your head, brain, eyes, jaw, shoulders, heart and chest, belly, and legs. With each out-breath, do this until you can feel the breath throughout your entire body, as if your body is made out of breath. Breathing in is like breathing in with your entire body. Breathing out is the same. In your perception, let your body become soft, open, spacious. Just very gently keeping this body of breath in mind, not forgetting it. And if you do and you notice, simply return. You can think of one breath as one session of meditation practice. While remaining aware of your body and your breathing, you can slowly come back and open your eyes. Perhaps stretch a bit if you want. Even with your eyes open and the body moving, try to keep your body and breath in mind, not immediately forgetting it. You can even formulate an intention to do that until you fall asleep tonight. Just maintaining an awareness of the breathing, staying inside instead of dispersing the mind constantly, losing all sorts of energy to nonsense. All right. So, hello everyone. It's good to see you. So if you look at the external world around us, the way it is structured, the way it is made up, you can find a lot of parallels to the way we function on the inside, in our psyche, in our emotional world, in our world of thought. If you take, for example, politics, you look at the way politics are structured, the way they function, the way they are governing society. In that same way, the mind has certain politics as well. And those politics are supposed to serve or to function the society of body and mind, making it somewhat efficient. However, as so often the case with politics, it isn't all that efficient. A lot of it is simple talk. You listen to politicians, you will find that there's a lot of talking and often very little action. In the same way, our thoughts are quite similar. It's a lot of talking, but very little action. A lot of people, for example, they try to think about what they should be doing. They think about what they should not be doing. And we spend a lot of time thinking about making decisions instead of actually making them. It's quite similar to a lot of politicians.
And so we debate and argue back and forth. Should I go left? Should I take the new job? Should I not take it? What are the pros? What are the cons? And then we go through this kind of debating over and over, oftentimes in a completely illogical way. So no real solutions can be established because very often if you, for example, look at political debates, there's no red string through it. There's no consistency in the communication. It is jumping from topic to topic to topic, leaving every topic kind of unfinished in an unsatisfying way. The mind, again, very similar. It just jumps from topic to topic to topic in a way that doesn't lead to solutions. Instead, it leads to a lot of agitation, and it is an expression of a lot of agitation, both at the same time. It is a cause for agitation as well as being a result of agitation. So it is almost like agitation wants to sustain itself through this mental activity. So I'm pointing right now to the fact that thought might be a tool that can be applied at some point, is very often the most inefficient way of dealing with problems. Example, should you do that thing that you always wanted to do already? But it could be dangerous. Things could happen. You might lose this or that convenience. Should you go to the gym? Should you, eat more healthy? Should you have better sleep routines? Should you use your phones less, and so on? Should you perhaps stop smoking, or maybe you're drinking too much, or whatever it is? And you know these things, and you think about it. How could I possibly stop? How could I start leading that life that I really want to live? The answer is actually quite simple. Just do it. Stop thinking about it. Do the thing that you would love politicians to actually do, which is implement it. Do it. Don't talk about it. Do it. Talking about your life to yourself in your own head endlessly is simply just a cause for more thoughts. It's not the cause for an actual physical proper solution. It just keeps you entangled in abstractions, in ideas. So yes, I think it's Nike. The Nike slogan, just do it, is very correct. It's spot on. Do it. You want to lose your phone, you want to lose your phone. You want to use your phone less? Do it. Use it less. Problem solved. Done. Finished. Just use it less. Done. But now your politicians up there, they will start debating. They'll pull you right back into the debate. Yeah, but if I lose it less, and then if I try to, maybe I need to just quickly check something. It's just checking. I'm just checking, and so on. And you're back in. That's how politics works. Before you know it, you're pulled into another debate. And that debate then leads you down this rabbit hole until you do exactly the thing that you didn't want to do. So yes, the instruction here would be, do you want to go to the gym more? Then do that. Just go to the gym more. Just do it. Stop talking about it. Do it. Most importantly, stop talking to yourself about it. Do it. What you know to be good in your heart, in your mind, do that. What you know to be bad in your heart and mind, stop it. It's actually fairly simple. But we're so out of touch with ourselves that we don't even know what's good for ourselves most of the time. And we don't even know what's bad for ourselves. There's so many layers of politics in between your heart and your actions that it kind of blurs itself out. It's like lawyers, they're very skilled at talking on behalf of a criminal, and the mind is like that too. It can talk on behalf of a criminal. It can talk on behalf of something that you know in your heart, in your soul. This is bad for me. This is not good. What I'm doing isn't actually making me proud of myself. It makes me want to hide a little more. If you have that kind of feeling deep inside, you know what you're doing is actually not that respect-worthy. It isn't noble. It isn't wise. It isn't beneficial, helpful. Perhaps it's super selfish, and so on. The heart knows that. There's nothing more difficult than listening to your heart. And listening to your heart does not mean listening to your preferences. Listening to your preferences is one thing. That's the politics. Listening to your heart is among the most challenging things for a human being ever, because your heart wants you to be good. Your soul wants you to come into purity, into light, into goodness. It wants you to become a saint, holy, whole, full, complete. But your mind wants to keep you in your little guilt games and your little shame games and your little problems and dramas. Yes, that's what politics do. They maintain the drama of the world, as we can clearly see. Just in a moment, a bit later. Keep it. So maintaining that drama means maintaining a sense of self and the other. One of the primary goals of politics is precisely that, to maintain a sense of self and other. One party against the other. If you listen to debates again, you will find that very often the content of those debates is not solution-focused. It's more to blame the other party for their mistakes. Solutions rarely ever presented. And if they're presented in a way that is completely open and unclear, because a lot of politicians know that if they were to actually implement those solutions, they would meet a lot of obstacles on the way, and they would eventually have to break their words in some way. They want to avoid that. I promise you less taxes. That's a simple promise to make, but then you can't keep it very easily because a lot is connected to taxation. Many things are connected. You can't really make just simple promises. Your mind too, in its own structure and its own system, it can't just be simple. It has to be super complex. And it's that complexity that keeps you from actually hearing your heart. The only way to hear your heart is if you shut up, if you become very quiet, profoundly quiet. And that quietude begins where? It begins in your body. Stop moving. Stop shifting. Stop expressing agitation, nervousness, and discomfort. Stop listening to the constant calls of your body, and instead go further in. You need to learn in the beginning to ignore, to not listen to the body, instead to connect with it. When I say not listening to it, I really mean not following its every impulse. That's a very hard thing to do. Not being sucked into the drama of your body. Instead, doing the thing that is good for your body at the same time. You're not reacting to the drama, while at the same time releasing, softening, bringing kindness, warmth, compassion into your cells, into your body. Instead of running, you stay. Every little movement is like an escape. It's like trying to get out of some discomfort. It's trying to manage it, trying to cope with it. Instead of actually understanding it and transcending it. For wisdom to grow, we have to understand. We have to begin with actually not running away from what is true. And what is true is, I am uncomfortable in my own skin. I can't stand myself. It's really hard. Just 30 minutes with myself is very hard. That's what the Buddha refers to as the first noble truth. There is suffering. It's undeniable. It's only deniable to those who are constantly escaping and managing and coping. To those with wisdom who stop and look, it's undeniable. I'm profoundly uncomfortable within myself. We need to deal with that. And in order to deal with that, you first have to stop running. You have to stop politicking around it. You have to face the facts. And begin with the most essential of all truths, which is, there is suffering. As long as there is suffering within you, then that's what you share with the world. And you share it through your actions and your expressions. Even unintentionally. You might not wake up in the morning and tell yourself, so today I'm going to share my discomfort with my family. But we do. We do unintentionally. Because we follow our preferences all the time. We follow our programming, our conditioning all the time. We follow the politicians. We end up in all kinds of trouble. And it just keeps revolving around and around with no real solution, with no proper end to the real problem. It's just a shifting around of problems, like politics. A shifting around of problems. A temporary, apparent solution just creates more problems down the road. That's why it's never done. It's never finished. It just keeps going. That's because the nature of politics is to cope and to manage and to operate within will and control and so on. It is not something that operates based on wisdom, let alone quietude, stillness, and peace. Politicians and politics is not an expression of peace, which should be fairly obvious to all of us. Most of our actions and our thoughts and our movements are not an expression of peace. They are an expression of being unsatisfied, seeking satisfaction, which we never find anyways. So the big question is, where can I find that satisfaction that I so desperately long for? Where can I find that peace, that ease, that state in which I know myself as being incapable of suffering? Suffering, at its core, is an aspect of evolution, I think. It is driving you to improve. It is driving you to change, to adapt. It's driving you to cope, to manage, and hopefully to transcend. If it doesn't do that, evolution will be cyclical. It will keep moving around in circles, up and down, good and then bad, life and death, health and illness, in-breath and out-breath, sunrise and sunset, and so on. Cyclical. So peace cannot be found in that. It can only be found above that, outside of that. In order to accomplish that, we have to leave the politics behind. We have to leave the world behind. What is the world? In this context here, it is your mind. It is all the stories, all the stuff that's up here. The things you believe about yourself, about the world, about others. The things you believe about your story, your future, your memories, your projections, your programming. your triggers, all of these things. Need to leave it behind. That is the path into stillness. The more you leave the world behind, the more still you become, the more happy you find yourself to be, the more at ease you find yourself to be within your own skin. Then escaping becomes unnecessary. You don't have to escape something that is incredibly comfortable. And that is a comfort that is more reliable than the comfort that arises from coping and managing. The comfort that arises from politics. There's no doubt that politics make people comfortable, right? You can outsource your responsibilities to the politicians, to the big mummies and daddies in government. They can do the things for you. You don't have to be the one, for example, that takes in refugees into your own home. But politics does that. It's much more convenient. I don't have to actually take responsibility and help others. My taxes do that, somehow. The social system does that, somehow. I don't actually have to get out there and socialize with others because we have a social system. The system outsources personal responsibility. It's a common problem in Germany, for example, where I come from. In the government, you want to get something done in the government offices. It's just, we can't do this yet because it first has to go through that other office. They need to give their stamp in the other office. And so it just keeps going on endlessly before you get your permissions. And everyone keeps outsourcing their responsibility to different departments. It's not our fault. It's their fault. You need to contact them to get that solved. So then you go there and they say, no, it isn't us. Actually, it's the other department. And that kind of bureaucracy can go like absolutely crazy. Spinning you around in circles with no real solution for a long time. You can't get things done. That would otherwise be fairly simple. I've heard stories that are absolutely outrageous about certain rules that the government imposes that are so incredibly out of touch with, for example, small businesses. Like in Germany, there is a rule that requires you to keep your tills, the cash registers, and the computers that are associated with it, not just the hard disk, but you need to keep the entire till for 10 years. So some businesses that have to go through a lot of tills, they will have to rent storehouses where they where they store all these unusable old tills for 10 years, which is insanity. Who came up with a rule? Somebody that's out of touch, that never has owned a small business, never worked on a till, came up with that idea, with that rule. Just like the mind. It comes up with rules and ideas that are so out of touch with reality, it's not even funny. It makes things more impractical rather than more practical. So the bureaucracy of the mind, the politics, the debating, the left, right wing, endless arguments between the polarities of life keeps you trapped on a level that guarantees that you stay circling around, that you are not free. The only freedom that can be found is beyond these layers, practical as they may be in our day-to-day life. But true peace cannot be found in that, because it just keeps turning from left to right and back and forth. If you want true peace, you have to leave all this behind. And I'm not saying that politics doesn't have a place, that the left doesn't have a place, that the right doesn't have a place. I'm not saying that. It all has its place. It all functions as polarities that exist on this world and that balance each other out, that complement one another perhaps. What I'm saying is, if you're looking for peace, You have to walk out. Just like the monks do, for example. They walk into the forest, they walk into a cave. They escape the physical world to some extent by leaving stuff behind so they can have it more easy to find that peace. And once they have it, they can share it. Then the basis of their action is peace. It is not anymore dissatisfaction. It is not anymore agitation and so on. So it's by far more useful. Yeah, I think that is enough for today. Yeah. Are there any questions? I think you had a question.
No, you answered it like 2 minutes later.
All
Just
right.
about the heart.
Okay.
Listening to the heart versus the mind.
Yes. That's a common thing. People say these things so easily, right? Listen to your heart. Just be yourself. Oh, what does that even mean? Just be yourself. What the heck does that mean? I have no idea. Listen to your heart. Also, be honest. What exactly does that mean? If I told you right now, look at your mind, then where does your attention go? Does it go into like thoughts? Do you see like a bunch of little images and thoughts? And you call that looking at the mind? Are those thoughts that you're looking at the mind? Can you even define mind? What exactly is it? Not so easy. Precision is one thing that needs to be cultivated. We need to be super precise. If you want to understand what is the soul, how does it differ from the heart? What is spirit? Does it differ from soul? How about mind? How about the citta, consciousness, or mano, as they say in Thailand, and so on? What are the differences? Are thoughts different from their origin? What is the origin of thought? Where do they come from? Where do they go when they pass? What are they made of? I don't know. But I say follow my heart. Very easy. I don't even know what the heart is. But I can say it, you see, with my mouth, like a politician. I can speak empty vessels. Follow your heart. And everyone goes like, wow, that was so deep. I love it. Of course, following the heart. But what I hear inside and what I mean by that is very oftentimes follow my preferences. And that feels really nice. If the teacher says, follow your heart, and he means to follow your natural morality, let's say. That's what the teacher says. Follow your natural sense of morality. But I understand, follow what you will do, what you like to do, basically, and don't do what you don't like to do. Then I celebrate that. I think this is great, because now I can do whatever I want to do. It's like a child that you put into a shopping mall and you say, like, buy whatever you want to buy. The child will, of course, feel good. It will like that. But is it good for the child? Eat whatever you want. Follow your heart. I don't think that's what that actually means. To follow your heart is a profound sense of morality that you follow, that you adhere to. Yes?
So you're saying keep it in balance, the heart and the mind. You're saying don't completely listen to your heart.
No, I would say listen completely to your heart, but actually in order to listen to it, you have to go beyond the mind. You'd have to go through the noise. Mind here being defined as the layers of thoughts, your psychology, all the stuff, your trauma, everything. You have to go beneath it, or above it, if you will. You have to get out of yourself to hear your heart. Your whole sense of self, the mind, your whole story, tell me about yourself, all that is mind. That you have to leave behind. You have to leave yourself behind to hear the heart. And the heart doesn't want yourself to prosper. It actually wants to kill the self. And so the self, when it hears listen to the heart, likes it because it hears to listen to myself. But from the perspective of the heart, if the self were to actually listen to the heart, it'd be kind of like you have these effervescent tablets, you throw them into a glass of water. That's what the heart wants. Your heart wants you to be dropped into a glass of water and dissolve. Yeah. As they say in the Vedas, in the Indic traditions, that you are like a figurine made of salt, and it is your duty to jump into the ocean. But that would mean that you have to completely disappear. But it would also mean that you discover yourself as being non-separate from the ocean, in essence. There's many examples, like the two snowflakes falling from the sky, and they're talking with each other, enjoying life, and they break through the last layer of clouds and suddenly find out, oh, we're falling right on top of the ocean. We're going to melt. And so they panic. Bro, look down there, we're going to melt. And they are full of fear. Really, it's just they don't understand what they're made of, that they are afraid. What is a snowflake made of? It's made of water, right? What's the ocean made of? Same thing. But the snowflake is attached to its beautiful form. And it's that attachment that keeps the snowflake from actually falling into the heart, into the soul. I want to maintain my form, myself. I don't want to let it go. There you go. This is the main obstacle. You want to stay you. Yeah.
The thing is, I find it easy to listen to the heart when I'm by myself in, let's say at home.
Right.
But then in a field full of people and interacting with, different people's egos, I find it quite hard to stay still and stay here.
Yeah.
I guess that's the game, isn't it?
The game is that you need to spend time, especially in the beginning, you need to spend time in solitude. You need to seek out solitude, and you need to fortify your stillness, meaning you need to accumulate so much of it that your amount of stillness by far outweighs the stillness that is in this world. So that through differential, you're pulling others into stillness. Just merely by your presence. Yes. But for that, you need to have a lot of practice. Talking decades. Especially for people who are just leading normal worldly lives. Different for a monk. They only do that. Of course, they're faster. That's the whole point. But for us, it's much more difficult, and it requires much more initial effort. That's why isolation and solitude is very good, especially in the beginning. Need plenty of it. To get to know yourself, you have to stop, defining yourself with other people, using others to define yourself. Yeah, being alone. Yes?
You said when you said follow your heart, you're referring to your natural sense of morality.
Yes.
Do we all have the same?
Yes. In the Bible, this is referred to as the golden rule of the prophets, which is what you do not want, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That encompasses that natural, pure sense of morality. If you really take that to heart, if you really consider, then that means, for example, how do you think about other people? When you see them walk, are you judging them? Would you want them to judge you like that? Your heart knows that you're doing something to them that you would not want them to do unto you. So you develop a subtle sense of guilt inside based on that. A shame You don't really like yourself because you're doing unto others what you would not want them to do unto you. That core morality in the heart is constantly active. It's your conscience. You know what you do on a debate, especially when you become quiet. That's why a lot of people, when you send them on retreat and they are isolated and alone, break down. They can't handle it. They can't handle themselves. It's overwhelming to see just how much we despise ourselves in the beginning. You don't notice it when you're out in the world. You don't notice it at all. You have all your toys, your distractions. You don't hear yourself. But in silence, in solitude, alone, it's a whole different ballgame. You suddenly discover, oh damn, who am I? What have I been doing? That becomes very loud. This is why in prisons they use it as punishment. Solitary confinement is a punishment for precisely that reason. You basically punish people by throwing them back onto themselves. Imagine that. It's a punishment to be with yourself. But not for an accomplished meditator. They'll be happy. They have dealt with their shit. It's finished. They like their presence. They understand what their presence actually is. There's no more need to run. So if they are alone or with others, same. Exactly the same. And yeah. Anyways, I think it's enough for today. Alright guys, thank you very much for coming. Have a good time.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and had a meaningful time. For more information and upcoming events, head over to our website at phuket-meditation.com. Thank you very much for listening and have a wonderful day.